don't you see what it means? They planned a cold-blooded murder. They had it all worked out. But unfortunately for them, an alien came through that door instead of her husband. Oh dear me. I'm so sorry. The Rover 600, it was supposed to compete with the BMW 3 Series. It replaced the Austin Montego. And it's based on a Honda Accord. Is it any good? Should you care? Why, let's find out, shall we? Rover, proceed.
As if we don't have to wipe away the tears. From time to time we wouldn't lie. And here we are, we'll never be the same. And on the screens of our lives flash words of good songs that we've not yet sung. And we're not worried about the future, and we're not guilty about the past. We're pressing on together.
So welcome to yet another episode of Tweed Jacket Reviews. This time we're in my 1998 Rover 620 GSi, and we're driving around the country lanes near Winchester in Hampshire. Behind the camera is Mr. Matt Richardson from Furious Driving.
Good morning.
Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon,
who is also going to be reviewing this wonderful car for his channel. So thanks, Matt from Furious Driving. Furious Driving. So before I get into more detail about this wonderful old Rover, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that, and to like and to share this video. It really helps us to make these episodes more quickly and to spread the word about old Rovers that I love. The Rover 600 was introduced in 1993 and was one of the last collaborations between what was at the time the Rover Group, owned by British Aerospace, and the Honda Motor Company of Japan. The 600 was based upon the current generation European Accord. There was a separate generation Accord at the time for the American and Japanese markets. There's lots and lots of Honda bits in one of these cars, and you know, you can see it everywhere, from these stalks to the instruments to the door handles and everything else really. The Accord doesn't look as nice as this car. One of the things this car was praised for at the time was the design, and a lot of people said it looked like a BMW. Now there's a reason for that. It's because it was aimed pretty much squarely at the BMW 3 Series, although later on BMW and Rover were the same company, so they had two completely different cars with no shared common parts at all, competing in the same market. I suppose you pay your money and you take your choice. The engines available in the Rover 600 from launch were a couple of 2-litre engines, both derived from the Honda Accord and known as the Honda F-Series engines. There was a 113 horsepower 2-litre and 131 horsepower 2-litre. This is a 131. There was also a 2.3 version of the same engine, which developed 158 horsepower. Later on, things got a bit more exciting because Rover decided to put a couple of their own engines in there. One of them was the 200 horsepower T-Series, which is frenetically fast and eats up front tyres, and then of course a diesel that I can't tell you about. Also later on in the life of the 600, for a reason I'm not really sure about, the 113 horsepower 2-litre was dropped and then replaced with a 1.8 litre engine of a similar design and horsepower output. Trim levels available in the Rover 600 at launch anyway were the 620i or the 618i later on. Now that car didn't even get painted bumpers, they were just black, which look a bit weird to be honest. Next up from that was the SI, then the SLI, and then there were two cars at the top of the range. There was the GSi, that was a 620 and a 623 GSi, and then the 623 IS, which had part leather seats and the only car in that time to get a driver's airbag. Later models did actually get dual front airbags like this one. after the facelift in 1996, the car's had a bit of a sort of a rejig. You had some different wheel designs, different colours, and like in this car, we've got painted bumpers all round. The GSi is probably the one to go for if you like luxury, because we've got 4 electric windows, 3 of which work, an electric sunroof, lots and lots of fake wood. We've got a full leather interior in this car. We've had a nice stereo originally. This is a replacement one in here. And these 15-inch alloy wheels, which to be honest look like hubcaps, but you know, that was the fashion of the time. One of the things that's a bit frustrating about this car as opposed to other 90s Rovers is the T-shelf for your Furious Driving merchandise is really non-existent, so you have to use the door pocket to put your Furious Driving travel mug in. You know, other beverage holders are of course available.
But why would you want one?
One of the ways I could sort of liken this interior is to the staff common room when I was at school, and you know, you imagine the dons there are sitting there in leather line luxury, sipping cups of tea and smoking pipes, but of course you never were able to see it, and this car feels very much like that. Well, what do you mean? Of course I went to public school. Why not do you think I have to wear this jacket throughout all my reviews? So in terms of performance, this particular car with the 2-litre 131 horsepower Honda engine does 0 to 60 in about 9.5 seconds, and will go on a top speed of about 135 miles an hour. Now, once you get above 60 miles an hour, the car does tend to have quite a lot of wind noise, and also the steering, which is power assisted in all models, gets very, very light. I don't really know why that is. I don't think the car has variable assisted power steering. That's probably the reason for it, and it does get a bit unsettling. The ride isn't too bad. It's not quite as soft and compliant as some cars I've driven, but in comparison to a modern car, I mean, my gosh, it's very nice indeed. Because this car is 21 years old, obviously things do sort of clatter around a bit, but then again, I paid less than £500 for this car, and we're taking it to the Santa Pod £500 Bertie Challenge, so you know, what do you expect? If you want to buy yourself a 600, just do bear in mind there are a couple of common trouble points. One of them is this driver's window door regulator that tends to fail. The motors also burn out, so a lot of 600s don't have a functioning driver's window like this one. You also see rust on the top of the rear wheel arch just above the bumper, which this car also has. And the cam cover gaskets in the engine actually do leak a little bit of oil. That's very common on Honda D series and S series engines. It's quite a cheap job to do, an easy job to do. This car had that problem, but it was fixed by Mr. James Coleman, also known as a rubbish mechanic. So thanks, James. Thames.
It's not as if we don't have to wipe away the tears. From time to time we wouldn't lie.
That was a typically smooth Rover driving experience, although the power steering doesn't have a lot of feel at high speeds, and this car does roll a little bit in the corners. Anyway, let's have a look at the practical side of the Rover 600, and let's look in the boot. And because this is a 90s Rover, the boot release is down here. The boot on a Rover 600 is about 400 litres. I couldn't find an exact figure anywhere online. Opens just like that, nice and easily. Now, a 600 doesn't have folding rear seats. There's no catches or anything to do that, but the boot floor is nice and flat, apart from this weird indentation in there where you can see the window regulator is waiting replacement. That's a common fault on 600 series Rovers. This car's also got an alloy spare tyre. It's a full size one, which is good. I think this loading aperture is pretty normal for the sort of era of the car, but these days this is a little bit shallow and it wouldn't be too easy to load things in. One of the things that I very much like about a 600 is this rear number plate surround, which is chromed, and that's a detail that you find on most of them, I think. This being a very late car, in 1996 they stopped badging Rovers according to their engine size, so it should say 620 on an earlier car, but this just says 600. I don't know why they did that, it's just a marketing decision, I suppose. Well, let's go and take a seat in some leather-lined luxury in the back. Surprisingly, for a car of this size, the rear room's a bit limited. I mean, obviously the headlining is very slightly sagging in this car, which is another common 1990s Rover problem. But I've only just about got enough headroom. I've just about got enough legroom. And this is my driving position. I'm 5'11". So yeah, if you're over 6 foot, you're going to struggle in the back of a car like this. But for the standards of a family car in this class, say like a Mondeo or a Primera, it's actually pretty normal. The E36 BMW 3 Series is actually worse than this, to be honest. Unlike a lot of cars these days, you get a standard centre rear armrest in this GSi model, and it's leather as well all the way through. There are no cup holders, of course, that's pretty normal for the time. You do get this ashtray though. It's quite stiff, but it looks like it's never been used, which is pretty remarkable considering the one in the front definitely has been. The GSi also gets electric rear windows, and you get the leather on the door cards and this wood. The wood isn't in too good a condition in this particular car in the front, but and in the back it feels very nice, and just like most cars, it's hard touch door plastics in the back. Every Rover from the 1990s that I've owned has had an electric sunroof. This car's no exception, and it's very light in here. It's probably helped by the fact that the leather interior in this car is of this very nice grey colour, as is the dashboard. The wood's a little bit cracked in the front here, and this door handle's a little bit loose, but it's okay. The seats are quite comfortable actually. It does remind me of sitting on an armchair. The control layout's a little bit haphazard. You can't see the heated rear window and fog light controls from the driver's seat particularly well, although the heating ventilation controls are an absolute model of clarity. I wish all cars these days did it something like this. The steering wheel adjusts for height, but it doesn't adjust for reach. The seat actually has built-in lumbar support, as you'd expect from a Rover of the 1990s, particularly a luxury one, and it's very easy to get a comfortable driving position. The pedals are in the right sort of position where you'd expect them to be, unlike a Citroen Saxo, for example, and the handbrake and gear lever fall nicely to hand. What doesn't fall nicely to hand so much are the window switches and the electric mirror controls. The electric mirror controls are where the window switches should be. The window switches are kind of by the handbrake, and it's a really confusing thing. It doesn't really help, but in this particular car, the driver's window is broken, which is again a common fault with the 600, and someone's had a go at repairing it in the past. That's why we don't have a little cover for the electric window here. In terms of visibility, out of the front, that's pretty good, although this windscreen's very steeply raked. A lot of saloon cars in the 90s were like this, actually. Out of the back, there's no rear wiper, unlike on, say, a Ford Orion. And so, you know, it's quite hard to see out the back sometimes. It's quite hard to reverse because there's no parking sensors. You couldn't get those on any 600. No reversing camera, obviously. You do get used to it after a while, although this car has had an impact on the back at some point, and you can tell. One of the classic tests for Tweed jacket reviews is the secret mission documents, and here they are, and let's see if they glow in the glove box, which actually they do nice and easily with no difficulty at all. The glove box is of a decent size, although the hinge on this one's a bit stiff, so it's quite difficult to get things in and out there quickly. The door pockets are also of a reasonable size, and the front of them has this kind of aperture here, which I suppose is a substitute for cup holders. There's no other cup holders in the car. Overall, the interior is quite nice, although, like a lot of cars of this era, it is a little bit low, and the visibility toward the back is a little bit restricted. On this top of the range GSi model, we have obviously the full leather interior, lots of lovely fake wood, electric sunroof, air conditioning, although it doesn't work on this particular car. This would have been, I think, a CD player originally. This is a replacement aftermarket unit. We've got before electric windows as well, electric mirrors, and of course the lumbar support for the driver's seat. Certain things weren't offered on a 600, just side airbags. This does have twin front airbags, although strangely enough at launch this car didn't come with any airbags at all apart from a top of the range 623 IS. In conclusion then, what do I think of this Rover 600? Well, they're actually quite rare at the moment and prices are very low. Obviously you don't have to buy a car that's in as wonderful condition as this one. There are others out there too, but it's very comfortable, it's surprisingly fast, it's quite nice to drive, and it has a certain 90s charm that you don't get anymore. Certainly it's a car to consider. Oh, excuse me, I'm terribly sorry. Evidence? What's it going to look like when Henderson claims we manufactured it just to get a space clearance program?
Thank you for watching this episode of Tweed Jacket Reviews. My name is Joseph Lloyd, I'm an independent vehicle consultant. I find cars for people. Please subscribe to the channel if you'd like to do that. Don't forget to like this video and to leave a comment below. If you wish me to source a car for you, I'd love to do that. My website is www.lloydvehicleconsulting.co.uk. Please use the contact me page on my website to get in touch. I've got a Facebook page as well. It's facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. Thank you.
Oh, don't pull out in front of me, that's silly. Right. Don't forget to subscribe to the Lloyd Vehicle Consulting YouTube channel.